There is one thing stronger than all the armies in the world put together, and that is an idea whose time has come. Hello and a very warm welcome, viewers. You're watching the brand new edition of Sansad TV on the journey of startups. So today we are in Bengaluru, and let's hear the story of manufacturing startup ZETWERK. Bengaluru-based manufacturing startup ZETWERK is in the billion-dollar valuation club. The startup connects original equipment manufacturers and engineering procurement construction customers with manufacturing small businesses and enterprises. Once a firm has placed an order, ZETWERK allows them to keep a tab on the progress of manufacturing and then the shipping. ZETWERK has also enabled manufacturers in India to discover and find clients overseas. The manufacturing capabilities help customers reduce costs of existing and new production parts, optimize the number of suppliers, and execute high-quality production faster. All right, Amrit and Vishal, welcome to Sansad TV and thank you so much for joining us. So, ZETWERK, coveted place in this billion-dollar club, the Unicorn Club. Tell me, how did the journey begin? Because I hear there are 5 founders, all from different states of India, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, Odisha, all together for this startup. Tell me, how did it begin?
When a bunch of us came together, we worked together at ITC, which is a large consumer goods company in India. And we were management trainees there. Before that, a few of us had gone to college together, me and Srinath. And my first job was to build a new factory at ITC. So first 2 years out of college, ITC had just bought a land in Mysore and the task was to build a huge factory there. And I personally fell in love with manufacturing through that journey. I did a few things later. I spent some time in the US, but when I came back and reconnected with these people, we were clear that we wanted to do something in manufacturing. That's how it started. And yeah, we are here 4 years later.
But Vishal, manufacturing is tough.
It is tough. Which is why this problem still keeps us excited after 4 years, and there's still a lot of problems to solve. Yeah, it is tough, but we thoroughly enjoy it.
All right. So, how did you think of manufacturing and providing a common marketplace B2B for manufacturing components? How did you all zero in on that idea?
Yeah, when we started, we knew we wanted to do something in manufacturing. So that was the seed. In fact, we initially thought we'll build software for people like me at ITC who were managing huge projects and running it all offline on Google Sheets and Excel. And we discovered that was a big problem. A lot of these customers we went to said, "Hame chahiye, we need this." But at the same time, the whole process of selling software in India is not easy. It takes a long time. There's a lot of decision makers. But all of these customers were asking, "Can I use your software to discover new vendors?" And they were not saying it very explicitly, but if you listened well, that is exactly what they were saying. And that's when we zeroed in on what we are doing today. We went back to the same customer saying, you have this requirement for getting this product made. We can find suppliers throughout India. We will underwrite these suppliers. We will build a digital profile. This factory has so many machines. This factory has so many customers, and we'll build is as good as visiting these factories, but you can see them online. And that idea really clicked with a lot of customers early on. They really liked the idea. And the best part was they were the decision makers. They did not have to give it to their IT team or somebody else. And that's how we started, and here we are.
But market validation is tough? Selling this idea?
Yeah, initially it was difficult because primarily none of us have that direct manufacturing experience, and the constant questions or that we would face from the customers is, but you don't know it, you haven't built it before. How can I trust you with such a large project? So we started small. We started doing small projects, trial orders, and slowly as they could build their conviction on us, because we had been consistent with our deliveries and quality. Today we have become, fairly significant part of the wallet share of some of these customers, and today we are recognized in the market for the kind of service that we offer.
Yeah, in fact, some of the first questions we get from customers is, where is your factory? Yeah. Because they're used to dealing with factories directly, and we said we have no factory, but we can provide you all the same output. What do you expect as a customer? You want your product made on time, you want it done with the right quality. Here's a different model. in which you can get the same results, and people were willing to try. So not everybody was. A lot of people said no, come back when you have a factory, but a lot of people were like willing to experiment with us, saying, okay, I will give you this small piece of my project. Let's see how you guys do. There is, I think, a general willingness in our country also to try new things, which certainly we benefited from.
But convincing them for trying this new idea, particularly in manufacturing, where the margins probably are very, very thin. So then how did that happen? How did you go to them and convince them?
It started small. Today we do large projects. Like we're recently doing some work for bullet train projects for the country. We're building a lot of infrastructure. But at the beginning, we're building very, very small niche components. Like if you look at around our office, we're building maybe these grills, metal grills, or a chimney for a factory. So in these kind of examples, the opportunity set was there. The customers were willing to try. Over a period of time, today we do many complex things. We do aircraft engine components. We do bullet trains. But we're not able to do that on day one. So yeah, the margins were less initially, but they have expanded as the complexity of the company has also expanded.
Would you like to add to that?
Yeah, exactly. So initially, most of the products that we do were very low impact for the customer, right? Those orders where they can take the risk of trying a new vendor.
Yeah.
So, but we did those projects very well, and every time. And today we are in a situation where customers come back and say, "Can you try this also?"
Okay.
Right. So now the tables have sort of changed with some of these customers, purely because of the reputation that we have been able to establish over the last 4 years.
But if you look at the key problem for the customer, the key problem is time. Like when they give up manufacturing contracts, often they have no idea. I've given a project, will it be done on time? If anybody has built a home, they can appreciate that in their personal life, but look at that in a larger context, it is a big problem. So what we were able to do, we are able to show our customers that this is the real-time status of your project. You have given an order today. Over the next 30 days, this is how the manufacturing is progressing. These are some photos from the factory. So there is a lot of participation in that journey. So customers know, even if there is a delay, it is not a surprise. And oftentimes there is very little delay because of our model, and we have on-time deliveries as high as 70-80%. And that is a very new experience for customers.
All right, you talked about your model, but I'd like to understand that manufacturing space is a very competitive one. We face tough competition from other South Asian countries. So manufacturing, and particularly as you're talking about these high-end machinery equipment, so that kind of reducing that or getting that competitive edge, was it technology, was it delivery, what was it?
It's a combination of technology and process. So it starts with technology. We have built, first of all, we are running maybe 5,000 odd projects today at any point in time. Okay. For each project, we can tell you, project 1 is done 20%, 30%, project 2 is almost completed, project 3, the truck is in movement. We have that much granular visibility at a large scale, and all of that happens because of software that is embedded throughout the operations of the company. Second thing is process. Now you're getting a lot of data. Now data is saying that project 1 is running on time, project 2 is behind schedule. What do you do with that data? I think that is where process comes in. We are able to predict much ahead that something is going on time or it's behind schedule. Quality is defects are expected or not expected, basis past transaction history. Right. And that is something which was there in people's heads, but there was no kind of platform which kind of packaged it and presented in a way you can act on it. So that is the key differentiator for us.
Makes sense, but this kind of setup, manufacturing, highly intensive as far as capital is concerned. How did you get your investors to say yes?
I mean,
that's a tricky one.
It was very difficult in the beginning. In fact, when we were talking to investors to raise our first round, people didn't really understand
exactly
A, what we were doing, B, why we were doing it. This sounds like a very difficult problem. It's nobody has done it before. There's no parallels with any other country. Exactly. There's no, we're not building the Uber for India as an example. So it was very difficult in the beginning, and I would say raising capital is always difficult as an entrepreneur. But what happens is there is so much track record that you've built over the years that when investors want to talk to many of our customers, they're able to do so, and customers are sharing good feedback that this is a problem which, in fact, if you talk to our customers, they will say, I wish I had started this company 10 years later ago. A lot of our customers say that, so many of them, that it was hidden in plain sight. A lot of people are just accepted that this is the reality. Every project will be delayed. I will have no idea. I'll just be following up with vendors. They had no idea that it could be done differently. And when you get that feedback, there is good validation that we have hit upon something which works.
So then, how did you convince them to actually put in money in your idea?
No, so a lot of it in the beginning of the company, it is driven on what exactly the company can become. You paint a story and say that we are building this business which is solving this problem. There's not much data in the early part.
Exactly.
But today, we are 4 years old. We are doing a lot of revenue, and companies, investors fundamentally underwrite that business. That this business has a capability of, basis past history, can go somewhere else in the future, and basis that they
else in the future. So probably unicorn within 3 or 4 years. How did that feel? When did that happen? What exactly was the moment like?
I think it was a passing moment personally. At least for me, it was a celebration for 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, or maybe lasted a week. But beyond that, we were just back to business, back to addressing customers' problem, back to solving suppliers' issues. That's how it was for me at least.
Yeah, I would say it was a big deal for my family. Yeah. Even today, they sometimes say they don't understand what I do. But there is some validation in some way from a general audience. Honestly, it was nothing much beyond that, because company building is a long-term process. Valuations are a part of that. Unicorn is one amongst many milestones that will be there. So we are building the company for the long run. In fact, when we announced this, we also announced it with a similar milestone of us turning profitable. So we were actually more proud of the fact that we had turned profitable in 3 years, growing at this pace, and unicorn was also.
But Amrit, this sounded hilarious that you said that my family still doesn't understand what exactly my work is. So what do you tell them?
They do understand now a little bit, because A, little bit of PR, and B, we are able to show concrete examples. Right. Today we do almost 1/3 of our business is consumer products. Exactly. So we work with a lot of brands for making, starting with anything from T-shirts to headphones, to mixer grinders to televisions. These are products we can relate to, and some of these products are at my home also. So they are able to finally understand that our company was involved in actually manufacturing this, and that helps them understand.
So you all, the founders, come from such varied locations in the country. Going ahead, what are the expansion plans? Because I know this is Bengaluru and you're also working in Noida. Going ahead, what are the plans for your manufacturing capacities?
We are definitely, in India, there are newer and newer opportunities that we are coming across, newer product segments, because see, the fundamental problem statement that we are trying to address of solving for digitizing the entire supply chain, it's pretty product agnostic, and it is in different supply chains, whether it's manufacturing of a watch or a capital good or a T-shirt. So wherever such opportunities come, we try to strengthen our supply chain, bring in more supplier manufacturers on board. On international, we are seeing a huge impetus in the last 1 year, where customers in the US are directly reaching out, US, Europe, etc., are directly reaching out for some of the components of their products. So that's another area of interest which we are pursuing, and we definitely intend to double down in some of the. So this is like real GDP addition.
Yeah. Just add to that, there are 3 big themes for us. The number one theme is core domestic story. Every company in India is expanding. If you look at most of these large companies, they're building big factories. Yep. They're expanding their current factories. Right. And it is all because the country is growing. The second thing is a lot of what happened last year was this whole theme of China plus one. There's a lot of companies in US and Europe. Yeah. They were pretty much buying exclusively from China. Right. And the supply chain got disrupted due to COVID and tariffs. Right. And they want to set up manufacturing facilities in India, and they don't know how. And we often become their conduit for exploring India as a market. Today, it's almost 25% of our business. Customers which are giving us revenue for not based in India. The third big theme, which is more recent, is this whole localization play. There are a lot of
Yes.
Indian companies
Yes.
who were importing products from outside. They want to now set up a localized manufacturing, but again, they don't know how. And these are across consumer electronics, these are in aerospace and defense. They are very strong in distribution, they're very strong in brand,
Right.
but manufacturing is often like a black box.
Exactly.
They
Yes.
don't know how. And for us, manufacturing is what we do every day in, day out. So it's a great fit. So we are partnering with a lot of these companies. Okay, you are importing everything. We will help you set up an India supply chain. So these are three big themes that we are betting the business on.
But today, the two of you may sound very modest about your unicorn status. But I'm sure this mustn't have been easy. What were the challenges?
Yeah, initial days, multiple challenges. One is getting, we wanted to get, being a manufacturing company, some real design-led or designers on board. And to attract people into our company was a challenge because they wanted to know what kind of products we have delivered in the past, what kind of DNA the company has. That was one challenge, bringing good people on board. Second was establishing ourselves as a vendor who is here to engage in a long-term partnership was difficult. First of all, they would not appreciate a new company trying to do manufacturing.
Exactly.
And second is to demonstrate that we're here not only for one order, two order, but actually become a long-term partner.
Right.
So customer side acceptance, acknowledgement was another challenge. Then broadly these two challenges that we faced in the early days.
All right. So we also spoke to one of your founders who joined us earlier. So Srinath, COVID pandemic was a very difficult period, and particularly for manufacturing, for the entire supply chain. Even during that period, your startup managed to make a revenue of more than 900 CR. Going ahead, what are the growth projections?
I think financial year 21-22 was a great year for us, and this was primarily because of the conscious diversification strategy that we had within industrials, right? So whilst we play in the broader category called capital goods, today we have created a very strong presence in fabrication or aerospace and defense or railways or oil and gas. In each of these areas, there is strong supply that we have created. There is strong execution capabilities that organization has cultivated over the last 2.5 years, which created fantastic growth momentum in financial year 21-22. We grew closer to 5x in the financial year 21-22, and which primarily laid a solid foundation and announced our strong presence across the PSUs, across the private sector capex projects, across public sector utilities, across international markets, right? So we also had last year 2 international subsidiaries that we created, one in Singapore and one in US. They started posting numbers, and it was a culmination of a well thought through diversification strategy which created a good payoff in financial year 21-22. Looking into this financial year, we've created a strong order book, primarily in the domestic market, which is again equally diversified across different categories, and this order book is resulting in a very strong revenue projection this year. We should continue to grow triple digit in this financial year as well, and we've had like one quarter which has been a very satisfying quarter, and what we are also continuing to do this year is add even more number of customers. Also the velocity of business development, customer acquisition is increasing. See, manufacturing is a very credential oriented business, right? Yeah. So in 2018-19, people were viewing the ZETWERK model as a risky model because they have not experienced the ZETWERK model of deliveries.
Yeah, they never knew of this model.
Today we have posted numbers, we have work completion certificates from prestigious projects, prestigious clients. All of this is speaking for itself, and that is what is creating this amazing velocity even at our scale, right? Of customer addition, projects addition, supply expansion, all of this is happening on a larger base at a higher velocity.
Mm-hmm. Right. But as we were also talking earlier, Vishal and Amrit, we were discussing about the challenges. So going ahead, what are the challenges that you foresee and how do you plan to address them?
Supply in India continuously, see what we are doing is there are established categories like metal fabrication or CNC machining or extrusions, and then there are newer categories. There are categories where India has supply, but there is still a lot of effort required to make it world class. You know what I mean? We see, so I directly manage the international expansion agenda for our company, and I often have conversations with US buyers where they have worked with an SME in India 10 years back, 12 years back. They've had a bad experience, primarily because the kind of predictability and reliability that the international market requires is a different order of magnitude altogether, right? And it is not just capacity.
Yeah.
Having an available manufacturing capacity is one thing, but then designing the entire supply chain, right, from raw material procurement to work in progress manufacturing to quality assurance to quality control to vendor managed inventory to logistics, is another, right?
Of course.
And that is a pursuit that we are engaged in. There are capability and capacity challenges in an ever expanding manufacturing universe that ZETWERK is continuously in. And that's a whole journey, right? So we keep solving supply challenges, and then when we solve for a capacity challenge, then predictability of demand continues to be the challenge, and this is a classic marketplace problem. And so that's the push and pull that we keep solving day in, day out.
All right, Team ZETWERK, before I sign off, Srinath, what is your message to the other budding entrepreneurs, particularly in the manufacturing sector?
I think manufacturing is a hard problem. Working with, particularly in India, you've seen a lot of, India has seen in the last 10 years a lot of software startups.
Yeah.
Creating a hardware startup in India is definitely a challenge that we recognize, and we are in the business of solving that problem. What helps is an ecosystem approach. What helps is having a long-term orientation.
True.
What helps is solving for fundamentals, right? I think a combination of these three, which is all long-termish in nature, and often young entrepreneurs starting out are always solving for the short term, which is, yes, you need to solve for the short term, but creating a hardware enterprise, creating a manufacturing enterprise in India definitely requires a certain long-term mindset and solving for fundamentals, right? And that is definitely my message to budding entrepreneurs in this space.
All right, Amrit, Vishal, and Srinath, thank you so much for joining us and sharing that inspiring story with us.
Thank you so much.
Well, viewers, that's all we have for you in this edition. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to Sansad Television. Namaskar.